All right, folks, we are back with the Fighting Networker, and always excited to be here every week because I just love staying consistent with this. It's a challenge when you're brand new in this whole new thing called the internet with the podcasting. And so I've got a wonderful guest that's supporting the Fighting Networker, Heather Criswell, which is she's really an entrepreneur, and she grew up with a dad that was in the automotive industry and cars and Corvettes. We were just talking about that. So it's almost like we're family. I feel like we're kissing cousins already. And
For
but
real.
I'm gonna bring you on Heather here in a second. But I want to tell you that I just love being here every week, talking to different entrepreneurs from different backgrounds, different ways of doing business. But everybody's taken on this internet world, and so my podcast has become really popular. I met Heather on the streets of the internet, gave an introduction in a group where there was a bunch of podcast people, and I got like 80 people saying I want to be on your podcast. So now I've got enough guests for the next 2 years. But Heather, I'm going to bring you up. Say hi to everybody, and we'll start talking about what's going on in your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I so appreciate it. And I love that you are showing up for this because doing a podcast is no joke, and it is work and it is effort. And I applaud the people that get on and do it consistently and share the light with the world. So I appreciate being on here and I appreciate you just doing this.
Yeah, my biggest challenge starting it was I could do a podcast every week on my own, talk 30 minutes because I've got enough stuff to talk about. But after a while, you get sick of hearing from yourself. And I thought, you know what, I got to start getting some guests on here to support and add some spice to the show. And I was looking over what you're all about, and I love your quote here: "One conversation can change your life." And I got chills just saying it now because I know that one conversation changed my life back in like 1987, 88, 89, 1989. I had a conversation that changed my life, and it changed my business career. So Heather is she's an author, she's a corporate trainer. She loves working with children, and she knows how to she's not the book that she has here is called How to Raise a Happy Child and Be Happy Too. That's the good part. And be happy too. She also has another book called Wise Talk from the Other Side. And I think that's pretty cool. So Heather, at the end here, whatever you want to plug, anything you want to give us for our description, we'll put that up so people can maybe pick up a copy of your book. And I know you've got other things going on, but tell me about what's going on in your life and what you're all about.
Well, thanks so much. That was so nice. It's interesting. After reviewing all the businesses that I've been in, I owned a preschool for nearly a decade. I owned a wellness center back when a wellness center wasn't a wellness center. Nobody knew what that was, but it was basically a place for alternative healing, massage, acupuncture, therapies, all those kind of things. And then went online and started doing some work helping parents communicate with their children. And that's where the book came along. And what I've realized over time is, when you start to look back and you go, okay, what is my life about here? Like when you take all the experiences and you say, what is my life about? And it all boiled down to one conversation can change your life. And when we can look at those conversations and really see how they have changed us and how they have changed the trajectory of our life or the forks in the road, you have a conversation with one person and another, and you decide to go one way or the other, and appreciating that about each other, because it's really important for us to continue to have these conversations. I feel I'm a little bit older, and I feel like we're having conversations, but they're not to the depths of our soul where we really connect. Like right when before we were first on, when I said, oh my gosh, you posted about your dad with this concept for Corvettes. And I'm like, my dad was Corvettes. He was all about racing, and my mom and my godparents and all these things. And that connects us as humans instantly. Like to your point, we're kissing cousins here, and I think that we're missing that. And instead of using the internet and our phones as a way to communicate. It's a tool to help us communicate. That's very different because it opens up doors. Like when I saw your post, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have this in common. This is so cool. Like somebody I've never met. We have something so beautiful in common. And again, that reminds me of a conversation with my dad from the other side of saying, hey, I'm still here. Like I'm not physically here. My body's not here, but my spirit is with you every single minute of every single day. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to have this guy, and out of all 80 people, you're here, right now, right? And you're going to see this post right before you do this show. Like it's magical. It's magical.
That is magical. That that is really magical, and I appreciate what you just said there. And I thought I saw that in when as I was going through your profile, you've worked with 3,000 children. Did I read that right?
Over 30,000 children.
Oh, 30,000 children. How does that happen? Tell me how you did that.
Well, I had interned quite a bit when I was in high school. I did a lot of internships with schools and kids. And then here I live in Las Vegas, and I started working at MGM, and this was back in 1994 when MGM Grand just opened, and they were trying to make Las Vegas the family destination place, which we all know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So it's not a family destination place. But they tried really hard. So they built the MGM and they built a big theme park behind it. And so we had kids from around the world. And on my shift alone, we had 34,000 children come through over the year that I was there. And so it was children from every walk of from Japan, from China, from Australia, kids that couldn't speak a word of English. And what would happen is the parents would go off gambling and they'd drop these kids in our youth center. And so these poor kids, like they're just dropped in the middle of nowhere, and we're trying to talk to them. They don't understand a lick of English. So it was quite the journey. But after that, I opened a preschool where I had literally thousands of children come through too. So it's well over 30,000. I just am super conservative about it because it's really hard to quantify how many kids have actually been. But kids have always been my life, my world. They are the ultimate communicators. They have taught me everything I know about communication because they just tell you like it is and they don't care. They look at me and they go, why is your legs bigger than my mommy's legs? Your legs are so big, And I'd be like, right. Or, I'd say they come in and, there's a 2-year-old and she's like, I'm so beautiful. I'm just beautiful. Like no problems with telling that they're amazing, that they're great, that they are, it's just, they are the best communicators and they are truthful. They are honest. And they know what they want every single minute of every single day. They know what they want. And so, I think that there's room for us to, obviously, we help our kids along the way, hone those skills. But on the same token, I don't want to ever take those skills away because it is imperative. Because now, as a 50-year-old woman, I literally say to myself, did I hurt her feelings? Should I say that? Should I not say that? And now I don't know what happened when I turned 50, some light switch went off. I'm like, nope, I'm going back to the way I was. Nope, this is what I like. This is what I will do. This is what I won't do. And there's very specific, I have 3 very specific questions I ask with any conversation. It's, what am I wanting first? I am first. What am I wanting here? Because if I do something that I don't want to do, then I become resentful. I get angry. I get frustrated. I get annoyed. I ruin relationships for no reason, all of those things. So what am I wanting? What's the energy I'm bringing to it is the second question. Like, Am I annoyed? Am I frustrated? Am I excited? Am I happy? You know, sometimes we agree to things when we're all excited, and then later we're like, oh, why did I do that? Like, why did I agree to that? Like, you know, and then the third question is, what's the inspired action? Like, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do now? So anytime somebody says to me, hey, you know, you want to go to this party, what am I wanting? No, I don't really want to go. Number two, you know, I'm like, I just don't want it. Number two, what's the energy? I'm kind of breezy about it. I just don't want to. It's just not something I want to do. What's my inspired action? I say, you know what? I'm not feeling it right now. But thanks so much for asking me. I so appreciate that. You know, having these moments of real truth and clarity for ourselves brings out that truth and clarity in other people. And we can do that across the board. We can do it with as simple as a party, or as hard as, you know, who should be our president. You know, like, we can have all of these conversations and be clear with ourselves. And just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I'm bullying you, doesn't mean that I'm mean. It just means that we don't agree, and that's okay. And like, bringing that back, that it's okay, we don't agree. It's okay. Like, fine by me. I'm going to live my life. You live your life. Let's move on. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to dislike you. I just have to know that I am standing clear in who I am. And that's it. Like,
Very, very good and courageous. Although you don't, you know, you said you're 50, you don't look 1 second older than 30. Maybe it's, do you have a filter on or something?
there's no filter. There's
No
no
filter.
filter, but
Well,
thank you.
yeah, it must be the air you're breathing. And you know, I'm going to take a commercial break here, because you see behind me I have my business, which I've been in for more than half my life, and it's the smoothie business. They call me Mr. Smoothie, and I love smoothies. Heather, do you like smoothies?
I love smoothies.
Smoothies are the best. And so I started a service. I think it's a revolutionary service. And how it works is it takes just 2 minutes to subscribe. It's called smoothietext.com. It's a free subscription, and a person can subscribe to this. Takes just 2 minutes, put in your credit card and the address you would have the smoothies shipped to. Then every day at lunchtime, you get a text message from smoothietext.com with a new flavor smoothie with a little description, a little video. And if you like the flavor, or you'd like to try the flavor, since you're subscribed, you just press #1 on your phone, and a canister is sent to your home. You don't have to grab your credit card. You don't have to log in. You don't have to use passwords. It takes just 2 seconds to get the smoothies that you love. And every single day, it's a new flavor for the rest of your life. So it keeps me busy, and I love the service. This is only available in North America, but you know, taking care of yourself is important, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
100%.
do you tell me about your schedule? Do you have a bit, because you've got a lot going on? What does your schedule look like? Are you like a busy, because you got kids too?
I have one. I have
Oh, you have
one,
one.
and
Okay.
he is like 20, so it's
Oh,
good.
oh, that's good. You got a man now. He's not a
Yes.
child. He's a
Yes.
man. Oh,
Yes.
that's
So
a
I
good
have
thing.
one. Yeah, you know, I have spent a lot of time, I spend a lot of time doing writing. I love writing. And I also spend a lot of time doing consulting. So I jump into corporations when they need help with HR, or they need help with people communicating with each other, just because oftentimes, again, like I said, you know, we lose the skill set to really communicate effectively from our own truth. And so I do my best to offer those skills to a lot of people. But my son keeps me busy. He is at the skate park every day. He's now swimming every day with friends. And I love my friends, so I spend a lot of time with them. I love a good lunch together. I love being in person together. It just
Yeah.
lights me up. And so, yeah, it is a busy, busy life. But it's a beautiful life, and
It
I'm
is.
incredibly, incredibly grateful to be living. Both my parents passed away very young from illnesses, and I'm incredibly grateful to have a healthy body and to be strong and feeling good. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
not that your parents passed away, but you take care of yourself. I lost my dad early on, I told you as well. I thank God my mom's still alive. I mean, she is a trooper. But let's go this direction. You wrote a couple books. You're an author. Is this what inspired you because of all the children you've been around? And is this what inspired you to write the book? Tell me about this book, the how to raise a happy child and be happy too.
Yeah, that was the key. So I co-authored that with a dear, dear friend of mine, Taryn Voget. She owns the Everyday Genius Institute. And we were talking and chatting, and she has a couple of sisters that had some problems with their kids. And she's like, what would you do? What would you do? And she just kept asking me, what would you do? Just based off of my experience with working with kids for 25 years and over 30,000 of them. And so I just would kind of rattle it off. I'd say, meh, meh. And she's like, you don't understand how genius this is. You don't understand.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is common sense. It's not even a thing. And she's like, it is a thing. So we ended up writing this book together. And what we wanted to offer in this book was the opportunity for parents to really, and caregivers, grandparents, everybody really, to be able to have these scripts to look over of how do I actually have a conversation with my child that actually feels good to both of us, but also gets our needs satisfied as well. So it was a really long process. That book took about 1.5 years to write. And so the book kind of goes back and forth from me telling stories to Taryn kind of breaking it down and giving the strategies behind those stories to help parents navigate this communication. And I will tell you, it's more important now than ever because our kids have all of these things. Like, you know, their heads are in them, their minds are in them. And so it's really even more challenging for our parents and teachers, really everybody, to communicate. And again, the magic of the world, you know, honestly, this woman, she just emailed me one day and she said, I love your book. I love what you've done. I'm using this every day. And I said, well, where did you find us? And she said her husband was a flight attendant. They call them stewards on Dubai and the United Emirates. I'm sorry, United Emirates. And he was flying in Dubai, and this woman had her son next to her, and he was amazing the whole entire trip. And the steward said, what's your secret? What's your secret? And she goes, this book, How to Raise a Happy Child and Be Happy Too.
That's great.
And I was like, what? I still get goosebumps to this day.
Great.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like United Emirates, Dubai, you know, like this rando conversation, right? It's a random conversation that changed her life, that changed the person telling the story's life, and changed my life just from a simple random conversation of, oh, it's this book. And I will tell you that conversation, her telling me that, has helped me keep going, keep the path, right? Like, because a lot of times we want to give up, and especially as a self-published author, although for that book in particular, we were published under Everyday Genius Institute, but, you know, to market a book, to be out there in the world, you know, it's a challenge. And so we get these, I call them divine breadcrumbs from God that say, keep going. It's okay. You got it. Like, keep going. But that conversation, had I not asked her, and had I not had the conversation with her, there may have been times that I gave up. Really.
Oh, for sure. You know, one of the things that I picked up from your profile is the power of words. And I mean, how important are words? Not only the words that we speak, but the words that we say to ourselves. How important is that? I mean, isn't that where everything starts? Self-talk?
Absolutely. You know, and that's part of the 3 questions, right? It's asking yourself, what am I wanting? What's my energy? What's my action? Like, getting clear for self first. And I'm having a challenge saying that in a way that I can make it kind of punchy and, you know, kind of edgy, of like, before you have any conversation, you need to have a conversation with yourself first, period. End of story. Like, in any conversation, even a random person walking up to me at the park, and I'm like, Oh my God, I don't want to talk to another mother. I'm just in the mood. I don't want to know about your family and your life and your kid. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just exhausted right now in my own world, right? And so my questions I'm asking, what am I wanting? Okay, I'm wanting to be kind. What's the energy about? I'm kind of annoyed. I need to switch that energy if I want to stay kind. I need to get back into the game. And then what's my inspired action? I'm going to keep it breezy. And if it gets too much for me, I'm going to say, oh, we got to roll. It was so nice to meet you. That's the conversation I have with myself first, because if I go into that conversation with, oh my God, not another mother, like, no, please, dear God, don't tell me about your life. Please, 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 please. If I go in with that energy, I'm going to be annoyed, frustrated, and also missing the opportunity for a conversation that could change my life.
Yeah, for sure. I live by this imaginary bridge, a way of thinking actually, but this is imaginary bridge that we have to cross all the time when we're dealing with people. And there's a huge traffic jam at this bridge because the thought is you have to have this impersonal love for all people. You can't be hating, you can't be angry, you can't be always reacting. And if we're not if we don't cross this bridge, we're always having problems with people. People always bother us, and it gets the best of us. We go to bed feeling terrible about ourselves. How important is it to like let people be who they are? Don't try to change them, and have this unconditional, this impersonal love for everybody, even the jerks, even the obnoxious, because it can like ruin your day, even your week or life. Right?
It's true. It's absolutely true. I say this a lot of times, especially with my husband, because he can't stand when people cut him off. It just sends him over the edge, driving, can't stand it when they cut him off. And 9 times out of 10, it's not that bad of a cutoff, it's just a cutoff, right? And so I always remind him, because again, I don't have to love you in the sense of, oh my gosh, you just almost caused an accident to my family with my son in the car, my dogs, all the things, right? But what I will tell you is I show grace as much as possible. And
Very
how
good.
that looks is, when my mom, we were walking in the park, and my mom looked at me and she said, I can't see the bench where to sit. And I'm like, Mom, the bench is right up just a little bit. She's like, I can't see it. I can't see it. She falls to the ground, collapses, turns gray. It's not breathing. Now, I've been trained in CPR all my life working with children. And it just so happened that my husband had come with us and brought our dogs and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I'm like slapping her on the face. And I don't even know why I didn't do CPR, but I literally heard an older woman say, stick your finger down her throat. And I stuck my finger down her throat, and she came back, and we were waiting for the ambulance. It was not coming. The hospital was right down the street, literally like a mile down the street. My husband gets in we had a Tahoe at the time, throws her in the back of the Tahoe. We go to the hospital, and we are just running every light, running everything to get my mom to the hospital. She is still gray. She's barely coherent. Pull into the ambulance stall. They're like, you can't come here. I'm like, she's dead. And they pull her out, take her into the ICU, all the things. And the doctor comes out and he says to me, what did you do to her? And I said, I stuck my finger down her throat. And he said, why did you do that? And I said, a spirit, an angel told me to do it. He said, well, he said, for future reference, don't do that again, because they can snap your finger off. The masseter jaw can close and snap your finger off. He said, but however, you did not know this, and not many people know this. And that's what was interesting to me. He said, when you stick your finger down someone's throat, it causes a gag reflex, which acts as a defibrillator to the heart. And so it literally defibrillated her in that moment, shocked her heart, got her back, because the gag reflex initiates that heart shock. And I still get goosebumps to this day,
Wow.
to this day. And he said, so don't ever do that again. And I said, well, let me tell you something. If it means my finger or my mom living, I will take my finger off, And he started laughing. But at the end of the day, you know, like going back to the car, right? We were going, running stop signs, running lights, going 75 miles an hour down a residential road, right? Because my mom was dead, clinically dead. And so nobody knew that about us. Nobody behind us knew that. Nobody in
Right.
front of us knew that.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Good
Nobody
point.
knew that. But I
Right.
will tell you, if you did know that, you would have pulled over for us because you're
Yeah.
human and you're
Wow.
meant to be on this planet to serve and help each other. And we know that deep down inside. So I always say to my husband, we don't know what's going on in their life. Let's give them some grace, like other people gave us grace.
Outstanding.
They gave us grace in that moment and got my mom to the hospital, and she lived another 5 years after that, which was 5 more years than I would have had we not got her there.
Wow, what a good story.
So
That is
it's
a good story.
grace. It
Yeah,
doesn't mean I
yeah.
have to agree with you. It
Yep,
doesn't mean it's
yep.
right or wrong. It's just we don't know what people are going through. We don't know.
No, we don't. We really don't. And it'd be upsetting if we did because people are struggling today everywhere. There's a lot of people that are really struggling today. And you know, Heather, I know we could go on forever because I'm holding back because I get so much to talk about, but we will talk again. And but tell me, what do we got going on? You have something we can, because we want to put in the description somewhere where they can pick up your book or where they could connect with you. Tell me what we can do there. Do you have a link or something like that?
Yeah, so you can go to heathercriswell.com. All of my links are on there. You can find me on any kind of social media under Heather Criswell, Conversation Academy. But I'm on Amazon with our book. Absolutely. You can find me on heathercriswell.com. You can find all my links on there. It's the easiest place to go.
Okay, we'll make sure we put that in the description. Once we're up on Spotify, we'll get you a copy of this as well. And
Yay.
it's so nice talking to you. And
Thank you so much.
let's reconnect again, like within the year, so you can catch us up to speed on what's going on and how life is awesome, and we'll just keep the conversation going. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate you, Jack. I so appreciate this time. And I just love sharing stories and sharing space with awesome people around the world. So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. It's my pleasure. And God bless all you do. Until next time. Bye-bye, Heather.
Bye.